Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to the channel, or just welcome to the channel in general. I'm Julianne. I'm the artist behind Peppercut Studio, which is a stationery brand that is home to my little sprout characters, and just like cute stationery in general. I have now been running this business as of April for 5 years now. It's gone through a lot of different identity changes. I've certainly learned a lot over the years, and I am by no means an expert. But throughout my entire journey, the most highly requested question I always get, and just like requested video topic in general, is how do you go about doing a shop drop or a shop update? And again, I am no expert, but I have done quite a few shop drops and shop updates in my time, and none of them have ever gone perfect, but I certainly learned a lot from each one. There are a million other artists out there with much better run businesses than mine, I'm so sure, and they have their own processes, but this is how I go about a shop update, and I'm going to talk about it specifically from the perspective of someone who's neurodivergent. If you've seen any of my videos before, you'll know that I very openly struggle as someone with ADHD running a small business. And I promise we're going to get started in just a sec. We're going to walk through all of it, okay? I'm going to be as in-depth and as honest as I possibly can be, as I always am. But just a bit of housekeeping for the people who might be new. As I said earlier, I'm a business owner with ADHD. Number two, I am a solopreneur. So I am the only person in my business that's working full-time. As of this year, or part of last year, I also have an assistant that helps me once or twice a week. She is amazing. Her name's Zoe. She's the best minion anyone could ever ask for. But for the most part, it is just a one-woman business. So a shop update with a small full-time team will look a lot different than a shop update with just one person. So this is coming from the perspective of just one person running the business. My business for the past few years has been a six-figure business, and this is just from selling the art both online and in person. As of last year, I do make some money off of YouTube, but to be completely transparent, and I have this in another video, I made $20,000 off of sponsorships and AdSense last year, and without that, we are still a six-figure business. So yeah, I think that's everything. And with all that, let's get into how I do a shop update. So our general little timeline is going to be ideate, create, market, pre-launch, and then launch. And we're gonna get into all the little nitty-gritty, starting with ideate. So if you've seen my videos before, you'll see me with my big whiteboard, you'll see me use FigJam, and those are usually my favorite tools for ideating. And this is generally my favorite part, and if you have ADHD, it's also your favorite part, but it's also our biggest trap. After you do all your ideating and your planning, this is where it's gonna feel most tempting to do nothing. The planning and the ideating gives me like the satisfaction as if I've already done the work, and then it's very, very tempting to just do nothing afterwards. But you have to do the work, otherwise there's no shop update. And I have a few tips and tricks that I will discuss at the end of this section to help you get through that little hump. So if you are brand new to the whole shop update, shop drop, having a shop in general thing, I feel that it can be a little overwhelming to decide where to start. So there are basically two paths that you can take as an artist when it comes to a shop update. You can have like a themed collection drop, or you can just have like an accumulation of work that you feel like you have enough products for, and then you decide to drop it. I will do a balance between the two. So for my business, mostly seasonal collections work a little bit better. And then randomly, when I accumulate a bunch of art that I want to drop, I'll do little mini updates. I think a lot of artists actually prefer to do the accumulation thing because this is a lot better for people who are able to work more freely on their own time and be able to accomplish things. It definitely works better for inspiration. It doesn't make you feel as stressed out because you're working on your own time. But for someone like me, I need a due date. With a due date, I always procrastinate. I just cannot help it. Without the due date, I will actually just never do anything. So that's a big reason why I prefer the seasonal drop. And also because I have a stationery business, I know that my audience is mostly stationery people who like to do planning, who like to do scrapbooking, who enjoy journaling. I think they usually enjoy seasonal drops as well. It just works a little bit better for my business and also for me personally. For a themed update, I feel like it's a really easy place to get trapped into the not being able to get started cycle. Because if you're like me, you'll be battling in your head, do I start with a theme first? Do I think of a theme, or do I think of what products to make first? And then you'll just be stuck in this like mind jail of trying to figure out where to start. The fact is, it doesn't matter where you start. Sometimes I have a theme that I know I really want to do, and sometimes I know that there are a few products that I know I really want to make. For my spring update, I knew that I wanted my theme to be like this breezy, fresh, clean kind of vibe. And so I built my entire collection around that, and I also knew that I had a couple products that I wanted to try making, and so it kind of like worked together naturally. For my winter update, I knew that I wanted to make washi tape. I had a very specific washi tape design in my mind, and then I built the rest of the collection around that product. So don't get stuck on where to start. Just anything that feels a little inspirational to you, write it down immediately. The moment that you write it down, it will feel so much better. Everything will feel clearer and it will seem a lot easier. It's always just the first step that makes it seem really, really hard, but once you get something down, it's so easy. Currently for me, I like to have like 2 to 4 different types of products per drop, but I've only recently started doing that. For the longest time, I only had 3 products in my shop. It was sticker sheets, die cut stickers, which are like basically the same thing, just more stickers, and then prints every once in a while. Only recently have I started including washi tape and memo pads. So if you're just getting started, don't worry about variety. Just like launch anything. For smaller items, you want to have like a variety. So like 4 or 5 sticker sheets if you're only doing sticker sheets. But you're dropping like a big thing, like a coloring book, that can be the only thing in your drop. When it comes to thinking about what types of products you want to make and what themes you want to do, you have to keep in mind who your audience is. So it's very, very important to understand your audience and what they want. You always want to make stuff that they want, but you also want to make stuff that you want. So you have to figure out what is like the Venn diagram of that situation. And once you figure that out, then that's it. That's what you are making. Don't overthink it. Just get started, write everything in your mind down, and then figure out where to go from there. Just make sure that you get started. And once you get started, make sure you go through with the plan, which I told you guys I'd be giving you some tips and tricks for. So we'll talk about that in the next step, which is creation. For me, the creation process is what takes the longest amount of time. Some business owners will say that you actually should be spending way more time on marketing. However, I am just a one-lady team, and I am primarily an artist. I am not a marketer. I am not a business owner. I mean, I have to be, but I am primarily artist. And so I want to spend most of my time doing art. Maybe that's not the best business move. Maybe you'll make a lot more money and be a better business than me if you do more marketing than you do art, but that's just not for me. But of course, you do whatever you want to do. But anyway, we are talking about creating. We're not talking about marketing yet. So for the creation section, this will be really fun for you as an artist, of course. It's what we're here for. It's what we like to do. However, this is where like the work really is. And this is also where your plan could fall apart. So we had all this fun planning. It feels like we got the work done, but now we actually have to execute, and this is like the hardest like little jump you have to make. As someone with ADHD, my attention span and like my motivation and my energy to be able to do things is like doing this all the time. And sometimes it's not doing this. Sometimes it's just like this for a really long time. And the fact of the matter is, when you're a business owner, you can't take that time to just like rest and rot. You have to do things. You have to get things done. And it's also just like so bad for your mental. For me personally, and maybe this sounds like I'm on this like crazy productivity kick. I don't think I am. But when I am in the rotting phase, it's actually worse when I'm not doing anything, because I make myself feel worse about myself mentally that I can't get anything done. And it puts me in an even lower low. And so I'm just like stuck in this like horrible feedback loop of just being on the down. And so during that time for me, it's important to get something done. And so when I'm in the planning phase, I pick out a bunch of tasks that I know that it's easy for me to get into the flow for. And that task list, I put somewhere that's like super obvious, and that's my go-to when I'm feeling low on motivation or low on dopamine. That way I'm getting something done and I'm not gonna kill myself mentally about it. And I kind of just ride that wave of doing the easy task until I have motivation again and I get through all the other stuff. And you have to be really honest with yourself for this. You really have to know what are the tasks that are easy for you to flow with. It's gonna be hard to not get distracted, but it's gonna be something to get you past that little push. And during this time, it's really important to not stay silent on your social media or whatever you're marketing with. If you're doing email marketing, then you should be emailing out whips or like little newsletters on your progress. If your primary mode of marketing is social media, then you should post your whips there or talk about your progress or what you're doing. Never stay silent on what you're doing. There's always like a marketing opportunity somewhere, even during the creation phase. Also, people love seeing the process, so that's a positive thing too. And the last thing for the creation portion of this shop update is that you need to figure out what's going to take the longest amount of time to produce or to manufacture. That's going to be the stuff that you're going to have to prioritize first in terms of drawing it or designing it. So that's pretty much it for the creation phase. Everyone has their own creative process, so I'm sure that's going to look different for everyone, but that's what it looks like for me. But after you're creating all your products, now you're you're moving on to marketing. And again, I'm not a marketing expert. Everyone does it differently. But for me, the bulk of my marketing efforts is happening 2 to 3 weeks before the actual launch date. This does not mean that you're radio silent 2 to 3 weeks before your launch date. As I mentioned earlier, while you're creating, you should be posting something. You should be letting your audience in on the creation, the process, and what you're working on. That way they kind of have like an idea that something's coming up in the back of their head. But 2 to 3 weeks beforehand usually is where I ramp things up, because that way you are able to grab their attention without losing it because it's been lasting for too long. I find that if you're like heavily marketing for a month, people kind of like get over the hype and you're not really able to like build it that much. But if you really ramp things up like 2 to 3 weeks beforehand, especially in the last like week and a half, that really builds a hype so that you have like a really big launch day. And there are a bunch of different marketing avenues you can take. For me personally, I mostly post on social media and then I do email marketing. Email marketing is really great for hitting that like core audience that's probably gonna buy stuff. Social media for me is like about reach and potentially finding new customers rather than gathering my current customers. I would say the number one thing about posting on social media is don't be afraid of being annoying. The reality is, even if you're posting every single day, most of your audience is not seeing that. There's only like a very small fraction of your audience that is seeing every single post. And usually that person is usually kind of cool with seeing all your posts. You're not annoying anyone. I feel like I was really self-conscious about this for a long time, and I still kind of am. But it's okay to be annoying. Marketing is supposed to be annoying. It's supposed to be in your face. It's supposed to get your audience to know that something is happening. When it comes to marketing your shop launch, one thing that is super duper helpful is to create a sense of urgency to your launch. It could be a limited supply drop or like a small discount for the first few people, maybe exclusive items. For me, I like to do like a bonus freebie. So for me, with every order, you get a freebie. It's like this mini sticker sheet. This is the freebie that everyone gets for my spring update. I don't know if it's showing. Perfect. And this is the bonus freebie of your first 100 people. So here it is. And I'm always sure to post it beforehand so people know what the freebies are and what they're fighting for. When you're first getting started, maybe freebies are tough to do because like this does cost money and time. And my business is now at a place where I can kind of like front that kind of money in order to give out for freebies. So maybe you want to create a sense of urgency a different way. Like maybe the first 10 people get a discount code for their next order, like 15% off or something. I've seen that work really well for people. When I first got started, I would give a discount code on every single thank you card. And I would also give people a discount code for posting on social media. That one worked out really well as well because it was like an organic way to get my shop's name out there and my products out there by word of mouth. But yeah, I really like my little cute freebies, and it feels like my audience really likes it too because it's been actually getting bigger and bigger with every launch. I'm probably gonna be extending how many people get the free one in the future, but we'll see how that goes. And just like one last thought on marketing is that after you do your shop drop, after you update it and everything, your marketing efforts do not end. They are always ongoing. It is just part of the business. You're not always going to be able to create new art. You're not always going to be able to do a shop drop all the time in order to advertise something for your drop, but you want sales all the time, unless you are doing a shop drop and then closing your shop. Some people like doing that too. But if you're going to be open all year around, then you need to be advertising your products all year around. You want these products that you spend a lot of time making to be evergreen. They should always be producing sales. And so if you want these products to produce sales after your drop, you have to continue marketing them. I feel like it's a big mistake a lot of people make. They like to just think about the next drop. I definitely have this issue and it's something I am definitely working on. But yeah, the products you already have should be really good and they should continue producing sales for you. So that's marketing. Now moving on from marketing is pre-launch. So this is all the stuff that you're going to be doing, all the nitty-gritty behind the scenes work to make sure that your website is ready to go for launch day. I don't know if I said this earlier. I feel like it's obvious, but maybe not. Part of your marketing should be taking like photos and flat lays of your products to be able to show them online or through email marketing or however you're marketing. You'll be using those products and flat lays for your pre-launch as well. No matter what platform you're using to sell, I'm using Shopify. Maybe you're using Etsy or Squarespace or I don't know, Big Cartel is another one, right? You're gonna have to create product listings and maybe even a banner. For Etsy, you don't have to change your banner all the time, but if you have your own website, it is best to change your banner whenever you are doing a shop update. For your listings and banner, you should be using the product photography that you already did during the marketing section during this this section. And now you have to think about your listing description. So what are you selling? What is the size? What is it made of? What does it look like? What would you be using it for? All of that information is very good and is really good for the SEO of the product as well. So when people are like searching a random product on Google, your product will show up. When creating the listing, you'll also have to think about your stock inventory. Maybe you'll want to stock up some other products you think will sell as well during your shop drop. I know for me, whenever I drop new products, it does also boost sales for older products as well. So I try to make sure those guys are stocked up as well. For pre-launch, outside of creating the product listing and then maybe changing the banner if you have one, you might also want to think about different types of shipping material you may need, especially if it's a new product. And if it's a new product, maybe you need to update your shipping rates or like customs information if you are shipping internationally, or even you might need to update your shop policies. I've recently had to do that for some international shipping issues. These are more so issues for if you have like your own website like Shopify or Squarespace. On a marketplace like Etsy, they take care of all of that for you. And if you are on your own website like Shopify or Squarespace, I also do think it is best practice to test your cart. So the night before on Squarespace, you can like do some drafting on your website and like play around with the cart and make sure that everything is looking correct. I've definitely been in a lot of situations where during checkout for some customers, maybe I didn't add all the correct market domains, so something funky happens at checkout and we don't want that happening. It's okay if it does, I'll talk about that in the launch section, but yeah, you just wanna cover your bases. And I think that's it for pre-launch. Actually, maybe you haven't done this in marketing, but you should already be doing this during marketing, is you need to announce when your shop update is happening everywhere. Everywhere, as many places as you can, as many times as you can, announce when it's happening, and also include a time zone. If you guys have seen my videos before, I've had issues with time zones. I'm not having issues with time zones. People are having issues with time zones, but you guys know how I feel about that. But after your pre-launch, after all this work you've already done, now it's time for the launch day, and there's still just a tiny little bit of work to do. On this day, you have already done all the work. Try to feel proud of yourself. Try to just take a deep breath. I'm like also talking to myself here. I am very much like a do as I say, not as I do kind of person. I am a very big mess of an entrepreneur, but that is the whole thing, is it's gonna be a big mess and you have to be okay with it because this is part of the dream of owning your own art business. As soon as things launch, you should be by the computer in case anything happens or goes wrong. Customers will be emailing you if something is going wrong, and I try my best to answer them as quickly as possible. I try to turn off notifications in terms of like how many orders or if I'm getting any orders, I don't want to know. But I'm always keeping an eye on my emails. After you see that everything is running smoothly, just be happy, be proud of yourself. Thank the people who are supporting you. Thank all the people who've shared your art or have left comments, and try your best to feel grateful. You're gonna have a lot of adrenaline during that time, a lot of anxiety, and I think it's best to like lay down for a little bit, and once the adrenaline wears off, then start packing orders immediately. And there you have it. That is an entire shop update, or how I like to do my shop updates. The fact of the matter is that if you are just getting started and you don't have much of an audience yet, you may experience very little to no sales, but everyone has to start somewhere. I find myself comparing myself to larger artists all the time, but then I also think about the fact that there are also a lot of people who look up to my business thinking like, oh, I'll never be there either. And I remember thinking that when I had like 5 sales too, but you have to start at the bottom in order to get to where you want to go. And I think it's really hard to remember that sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you, some people are able to have like hundreds and hundreds of sales off of their first update, but that is a lot more rare. There are people who have been working at this for years and years and years, and they still have seen very little sales. And when you're running a business by yourself, and it's a passion business like an art business, you are really doing it for the love of the game. And if you do it smart and you get good at it and you practice a lot at your art and you learn a lot about marketing, that's when your business will grow. And the more you do it, the better you get. I find myself improving with every single update. And if you see my videos before, you'll know that I am very, very hard on myself after every single update, but please try not to be like me. You worked so hard, you did your best, you should be proud of yourself, and so grateful for the support that you did see. Whether it was a sale or just someone sharing your art or liking your art, that should be enough. And of course, all of us have to eat, but if you are just starting a shop and you quit your job, don't do that. Don't do that. Keep your job as long as you can. I worked 2 full-time jobs while working on this business, and it wasn't until a couple of years ago where I was already seeing 6 figures that I decided to like quit my job. Actually, that's a lie. I got laid off. I didn't have a decision, okay? I had to make this work. But this business was already making money, so it was okay. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I'm sure it was like a lot more talking than it needed to be. I'm so sorry if it was scatterbrained. I have told you guys many times in this video, I have ADHD. I am scatterbrained. If you guys have any more questions for me, please let me know in the comments below. I don't mind filming these videos anymore, actually. I just don't want people to think that I'm coming from a place where I'm like, I'm an expert, this is how you do it. I'm just letting you know how I do it, all right? Anywho, that's enough talking for now. Thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you so much for supporting my art and giving me the life that I have. I am eternally grateful to all of you guys, and I'll always try my best to give back as much as I can. And yes, stop talking now. Okay, bye. Love you guys. Bye.